Starting in my sophomore year of college, I lived in an apartment, and on Friday evenings there was a group of us, 3 friends, that we'd rotate cooking at the apartment so that we'd at least try to get a homegrown meal each week. But we only were invited to come to this if we would invite someone that hadn't been to dinner with us on a Friday night before. So it was a way for the 3 of us to cook for other people, but also to make sure that our friend group kept inviting more people in. Well, the most adventurous thing that I ever attempted trying to make was baking bread. I don't know why I thought that was something I needed to know. But I thought I'd give it a shot, and if you've ever tried this, you know it's an all-day affair. Take the ingredients, you knead the dough, then you knead it again, and then you have to wait for it to rise, and then finally you actually get to bake it. It took hours to make. And I was on the phone with my grandma for about 3 of those hours, asking her if I was doing it right. And at the end of the day, one of my roommates said to me, "You know they sell this already made in the grocery store. It's in plastic bags and it's called Wonder Bread. You should try it." I don't know if Wonder Bread still exists, but speaking of something that is wondrous, if you've ever walked by a bakery, the smell of bread, the texture of bread, even the flavor of just baked bread is unlike any other experience you can have. And then we haven't even talked about adding butter or jelly or even using fresh bread to make sandwiches. It really is a transformative experience. And as we think about it, it's truly astounding to consider what the simple ingredients of bread, of flour, and water can become. And I think that's the point of today's Feast of Corpus Christi, the feast of the body and blood of Christ. It is astounding to consider what bread can become. The work, yes, it takes to bake a loaf of bread can't begin to compare with what has gone into confecting the Eucharist, because the Eucharist is a labor of a lifetime, Jesus' lifetime. And all that Jesus taught and lived and suffered and died for has been poured out into that sanctifying moment when bread becomes his body. By the hands of the priest and the grace of God, the mundane becomes a miracle. And when we receive this miracle, we are transformed. We bring God into us and he becomes us. It's more than just transubstantiation, that massive word that we were taught as we were preparing for our first communion that describes what happens on the altar. It is nothing less than a resounding echo of the incarnation, of the birth of Jesus, because it has been said that God became man so that man might become God. In the miracle of the Eucharist, we experience that. We relive that. So yes, it is quite astounding to consider what bread can become. It is a miracle and a mystery all at once, but it continues to happen. Christ continues to feed us, to nourish us, to sustain us, and to satisfy us in following him. He does it through his word, and he does it with his own body and blood. What began on Holy Thursday with just a few people in an upper room now feeds multitudes throughout the world. Jesus continues to give and to give himself to us. God becomes bread, and bread becomes God. And in that, he becomes a part of each of us. Jesus promised to be with us always until the end of time. And he is. And he will be always. Because what happens on this altar in a few moments is the most powerful testament to his presence among us always. So let's prepare to receive the greatest gift God can give us, the gift of himself. And when we recognize that, it really is astounding to consider what bread can become.